2 VSTs, 1 DAW. Welcome to Rainquill Riffs, where today we're taking a look at 2 pieces of software, 2 VSTs, and we're going to be using them in today's video. One is called Axer GMP from Study Sound Audio. The other is the Monarch kit, and technically the Fairview kit as well from RS Drums, both of which will be in the description down below. Today, as the thumbnail and title suggests, I'm going to put my own guitar playing up against Axer GMP to see which one gets me closer to Anub Sastri's sound, because I'm really inspired by Bloom. It's a 2016 album that Anub Sastry dropped. He uses what he says is processed guitar, which is cutting up his own guitar playing and pasting it into the DAW. Unfortunately, I forgot to turn on the phantom power on my Focusrite, which my SM7B needs right here. And I just tried to record a full 2 hours and, it didn't work. So here we are, phantom power is on. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mute everything besides for the bass and the drums. In light of recording everything already, I'm going to mute Axer GMP. I'm going to mute my own guitar playing, the left and right guitar, and just kind of play along with it so you guys can see that, I did create the riff. Yes, that does mean that this is going to be a bit of a shorter episode. At least it's going to be an episode where you have nice mic quality. I was trying to edit all of that audio in DaVinci. There's no amount of EQ or processing that you can do to your camera's audio that fixes anything. I was so frustrated. And that right there is already, like I said, in the left and the right guitars. So what I'm going to do now is unmute the left and the right guitars, and you can see exactly how this sounds in the stereo field, also with harmonies and cuts and like a perfect take all together. So here we go. So as you can tell, that sounds polished, it sounds better, but it's not perfect. I didn't want to take like 3 or 4 hours just on getting perfect guitar takes because these strings are sloppy jalopy in drop B. Okay, so I'm going to mute those guitar takes, open up Axer. Alan pronounces it with a southern accent, so I don't know. I don't specifically know how to pronounce it. It could be Axer, one of the two.
Axer. With Axer, we're going to be using Axer.
So if you go and listen to Bloom by Anub Sastry, and then you come back and listen to this instrumental, they're going to sound vastly different. My goal was to make it sound like that, but because he's so good at mixing, it doesn't sound anything like it. I've had Axer GMP for a couple weeks, and what I've learned is that key switches are life. If you don't use key switches and get used to them and take the time to learn where they are on the MIDI notes, to tell the guitar what to do, it's going to sound incredibly robotic. The whole point of this is to make it sound as realistic as possible. And so you can't be lazy about it. You can't just plug them in and be like, okay, so these are all my key switches right here. If I delete them, it's going to sound like crap. It sounds like crap, right? Key switches are incredibly important. Actually, also, I don't know why that was in a completely different key than what I programmed it in, but whatever. So this episode, because of time constraints, isn't going to be a complete overall review of both products. So in summary for this, so we're going to start with Axor GMP. Like I just said, key switches are life. If you do not use key switches in this, you're not going to get very far. So if you take a look at the left side here, I couldn't remember by memory all of the key switches. So I labeled them, and that's incredibly important. It's something that only takes you like 5 or 6 minutes. But if you're buying Axor GMP, then I highly recommend you do that, because then you're going to save yourself so much time when you're programming. It'll make your life so much easier. My biggest takeaway for the Monarch kit from RS Drums is, dude, you hardly need to mix it. I've done very, very minimal processing. I have the parallel bus and the drum bus, which is actually doing the most. So if you're buying either Axor GMP or RS Drums, those are my 2 takeaways. And thank you guys for showing up for this episode. I know it's kind of a bit shorter of an episode. And even though I wasn't able to give you guys like the recording process, which that's where I was the most emotional, RS Drums is definitely going to be on my future mixes. And I really appreciate Anab Sastry for sending me that kit and allowing this collaboration to happen. And of course, as well, a huge thank you goes out to Alan Rigdon for sending me this. Initially, I had no idea what I was going to do with a guitar VST. You can use this on the road. You can use this to beef up your rhythm guitars in the background. I didn't do that this episode. I did like a 1 verse 2 kind of thing, but there's a lot more uses for MIDI guitar than one might think. All that being said, thank you guys so much for coming out to today's episode of Rainquill Riffs, episode 15. If you guys like what you saw, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. I upload Wednesday at 11 every single week. So until next time, peace.